after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? In the night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? In the night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? In the night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? In the night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? In the night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? In the night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? In the night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? The night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? The night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? The night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. What can't talk in the day? In the night part. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark. Jostle after dark.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of JASL After Dark. I'm your host, Calvin, and of course, I'm excited to be back for candid conversations every Wednesday night for JASL After Dark. JASL After Dark is brought to you by Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, and we're live right now on YouTube and TikTok, and we invite you to follow both our pages. Crystal, co-host, what go on?
My day, Calvin. You know what we're going to be doing the most tonight, where we're going to be doing it candidly and intentionally. Of course, I'm definitely looking forward to the conversations that we're going to be having tonight.
Absolutely. So if you don't know, November 25, that's Monday coming, Monday, November 25, that date is observed internationally. So it's IDVA, International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. So in anticipation of IDVA, tonight we are having a serious discussion. We're talking about gender-based violence. So tonight's topic for JASL After Dark is unpacking gender-based violence.
And to share in tonight's discussion, we have a Policy and Advocacy Officer at JASL, Mr. Patrick Layla, as well as Chantal Facey, survivor of domestic violence.
Yes.
All right, so serious discourse tonight.
Definitely in for a serious discussion tonight. But before we get into the discussion, you know, it's time for Hot Pot.
It's time for Hot Pot.
Hot Pot.
Hot Pot.
No, sir. This not. I'm hungry. I'm gonna want something juicy to eat. Away in the pot.
It's time for Hot Pot.
Hot Pot.
Hot Pot.
No, sir. This not. I'm hungry. I'm gonna want something juicy to eat. Away in the pot.
It's time for Hot Pot.
Hot Pot.
Hot Pot.
No, sir. This not. I'm hungry. I'ma want something juicy for eat. Away in the pot.
It's time for Hot Pot.
Hot pot.
Hot Pot. At fast.
No, sir. This catchy not.
At fast.
I'm hungry. I'ma want something juicy for eat. Away in the pot.
It's time for Hot Pot.
Hot pot.
Hot Pot. At fast.
No, sir. This catchy not.
At fast.
I'm hungry. I'ma want something juicy for eat. Away in the pot.
It's time for Hot Pot.
Hot pot.
Hot Pot. At fast.
No, sir. This catchy not.
At fast.
I'm hungry. I'ma want something juicy for eat. Away in the pot.
So there are always
It's time
some
for
topics that
Hot
are
Pot.
interesting
Hot pot.
and somewhat
Hot Pot.
controversial.
At
So
fast.
each week,
No,
into our
sir.
Hot Pot
This
find
catchy
topics to
not.
discuss. And I'm gonna
At
ask
fast.
which one of my guests want to
I'm hungry. I'ma want
You
something
do, okay.
juicy for eat.
Let me hold
Away.
it up for you.
Hot pot.
It hot.
The
Yeah,
hot
yeah.
pot.
You have to pull it fast. Yeah. Pull it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. There we go.
So
See?
I can hear what they say now.
Okay, Jamar Watson, the controversial church leader known as the Sniper Prophet, said that he planned to cancel his church New Year's Eve watch night service to attend Vibes Cartel Freedom Street concert. Do you think he's going to the concert to minister and save soul, or he's going as a fan?
What do you think?
I'ma go as a fan.
He's going as a fan.
Yeah, I couldn't go save soul and I cancel watch night. No.
right?
That's true.
Mr. Leila.
Well, I'm not quite sure what you watch for on Watch Night. So it could be cancelled for me. But
Yeah.
I think if he had said he was carrying the Watch Night service to the concert,
Right. Yeah.
then it would be more as a, to convert. But I think he's going as a fan.
Yes, he is.
What do you think?
I mean, Sniper, Prophet, bust my gun them whenever I like. I feel like there's a little bit of correlation there. So, as a fan,
Yeah. I think he's definitely going as a fan. I don't see how you could cancel the church service, the watch night service that people look forward to.
Go watch
You know,
Cartel
if we
concert.
go bring, yeah, they,
but
like,
people always are going to watch tonight, no matter what. People are going to for watch.
yeah, but you don't know when God will come, so that's why the watch night is. You're starting the new year right.
Yeah.
With getting the blessings of the Lord, starting in the Lord's house and all of that.
Yeah, but suppose you bring the Lord to the bigger audience.
The audience at Freedom Street will not be listening to any gospel.
No.
You don't know that the cartel is a changed man.
Oh, well, I didn't know that he was going to be singing gospel.
I'm going to see Grace Trillers on the line.
Never sing no gospel. No
Alright,
gospel.
fine. So tonight I'm the devil's advocate. Not the devil. The advocate. Alright, fine. Yes.
Yeah.
So he's going as a fan.
He's definitely going as a fan.
Alright.
There's no way that you can cancel your church service to go a secular event and tell us that, No,
Yeah, bring the Lord with you.
he's not bringing no Lord with him, But we want to hear from you. So share your thoughts with us in the comments right now. Let us know what you think. Do you think the controversial Sniper Prophet is going to save souls, or is he just going as a fan? Let us know. Share your thoughts in the comments so we can know what you think. We'll be back with more JASL After Dark after this quick break.
In the mood? Then think about PrEP. One PrEP pill a day helps to prevent HIV. To learn more about PrEP, contact Jamaica AIDS Support for Life at 876-925-0021. Step up, PrEP up. In the mood? Then think about PrEP. One PrEP pill a day helps to prevent HIV.
So welcome to our PrEP Up segment where each week we give you doses of PrEP information. And you might not know it, but PrEP and gender-based violence, they do have a linkage that we can talk about tonight. And of course, with us tonight is Dr. Stephen Andrews here to give us the information on PrEP. Doc, welcome.
Thank you.
So the question that persons might now be asking, since I just gave that introduction, how can gender-based violence impact someone's ability to access and adhere to PrEP?
I don't want to take anything for granted. A lot of people don't know what gender-based violence is.
Okay, so let's talk about it.
So gender-based violence, the answer's in the name. It's violence against a particular gender. It could be male, it could be female.
So the violence is because of
Their
your
gender,
gender.
just because of your particular gender. It's just, we find that most violence is based against women and girls. They bear the blunt of it. And the most common form of violence is sexual violence. This is a very serious topic for me because when you go through the statistics and you see how many women are affected by gender-based violence or violence in general, it's very, very tough. 1 in 2 women have been harassed sexually on the roadways or in their home. 1 in 20 women have been raped. These are global statistics. In Jamaica, 22 out of 100,000 women have been raped in Jamaica. The only good thing that we can say so far is that compared to the period last year to now, we've decreased the number of rapes from, I think it's 432 that's listed on the police website to 318 now. But that's just a background.
318 too much.
Still too much. Our topic today is about PrEP and how gender-based violence would impact someone's access to PrEP.
Right.
If someone is a victim of gender-based violence, then we know that sometimes you can have the fear of violence itself restricting you from getting your PrEP. People are scared to actually come out because their partner don't want them to be seen in certain places. Your partner don't give you permission to go to certain places. So those factors will make these people not have access to PrEP. Another thing too is partner resistance. They don't have a say in the relationship. So your partner say you have to do this, you have to do that. So you don't have a say to say that I want to try this, I want to do something new. And this is what would hinder your access to PrEP. Another thing is the inability to predict when sex is going to happen. When you're in a relationship and it's a loving, nurturing, kind relationship, you and your partner, you know when something is going to be engaged. A lot of times these people are raped. They don't know when it's going to happen. And this in itself makes it hard for them to access, hard for them to take PrEP sometimes because of the fear and the inability to time when they can have a chance to take it. It's a big topic, bro.
Yeah, serious stuff. So what role does PrEP play in empowering survivors of gender-based violence to regain control over their sexual health?
All right. So you would understand that if one of these survivors decides to kind of take charge, it can be through PrEP. Because PrEP helps them, like I mentioned last week, to build sex esteem. It also helps them to build independence as well from getting different conditions, such as HIV. But you are able to now take control of your body when it comes to that. Unfortunately, because you're in an abusive relationship or because you're a victim of gender-based violence, your means of taking PrEP may be different from other persons. You know, in loving relationships, I would tell you, or the partner, would tell the other partner and support you through it. Here, you have to literally hide and take it. But this is for your own protection. The thing is, when you come to my office to get PrEP, I am able to give you additional services that can help you get out of that abusive relationship, because now I can screen you for different STIs, I can treat you for different STIs, I can put you on platforms that can help to bring you out of that situation, and I can refer you to different persons that can help you get out of that as well.
Awesome stuff. So how can JASL and other organizations support individuals experiencing gender-based violence to safely discuss and access PrEP?
The first thing I tell patients is that, it's not your fault. You are a victim of your circumstance. We have to establish that safe space. If anyone comes into your office seeking help or they want to basically come forward about it, they must feel comfortable.
Right.
They must trust you. You cannot shame somebody for something that has happened to them.
Victim blaming.
And a lot of times you have victim blaming happening, and people are not forthcoming with this because they don't want nobody to know what happened. They don't want to feel ashamed. They don't want to go through that trauma all over again.
Yeah.
So this is where educating these persons about gender-based violence and telling them what is right from wrong. A lot of times you have gaslighting happening and people don't even know they're a victim of gender-based violence. It's not only physical, psychological, mental, even monetary.
Financial, yeah.
Exactly. If you or anyone you know has experienced anything like this, reach out to us because we're more than just a center that deals with HIV. It's holistic.
Absolutely.
And I want to encourage women, I want to encourage girls, as even the young boys too, because we're hearing more about that being involved, to share what's happening to you with someone you can trust. And you can come out, you can come to JASL at any of our 3 locations where you can have that discussion with us.
And it's good you mentioned that, and the fact that, you know, JASL is a safe space, right? So my next question is, how can healthcare providers in general, you know, take steps to, or what steps can they take to create a safe and non-judgmental environment for gender-based violence survivors who might benefit from PrEP?
Let your survivors talk. Listen to them. A lot of times we have our preconceived ideas and judgment about these person's situation. Sometimes they just need somebody to listen to their problems. Be kind to them. Sometimes just offering them a place to sit, giving them a glass of water can initiate or engage them to kind of get the ball rolling. Being understanding of the situation. A lot of times we can't put ourselves in the situation. Women tend to be more sharing with women because most times the aggressors in these acts of violence are men. And we need to curb that. As men, we need to speak out against these types of acts, and we need to call out other men engaging in these types of violence because this is not the environment you want to groom young men in.
No.
You have to call it out. You have to stand up against rape culture, and you have to ensure that you, as a physician or as a provider of healthcare or wherever, you learn the signs of violence. You see when someone is crying for help without them saying anything.
Yeah.
So, again, if you are a victim of gender-based violence, this is the time to reach out. Don't be afraid. There are strategies and things in place that can be used to help you.
Thank you so much, Doc, for giving wise words on not just PrEP, but gender-based violence and resources that are available to survivors of gender-based violence. Well, if you are interested in getting on PrEP, you know to contact JASL at 876-925-0021 to learn more.
We didn't even tell them what PrEP is. PrEP is used to prevent HIV, for those who don't know.
Yes, so for those who are just joining today and you're wondering, what is this PrEP we've been talking about? Pill to prevent HIV, as Doc says. But not just one pill, it's one pill a day.
Yes.
We'll be back with more JASL after this break. If you are just joining us, you are watching JASL After Dark, brought to you by Jamaica AIDS Support for Life. Jamaica AIDS Support for Life provides free HIV and syphilis testing, and if you are at risk of contracting HIV, we also provide free PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, one-a-day pill to prevent HIV. And if you're living with HIV but you are not yet on treatment, definitely you can come to JASL for treatment, care, and support.
All right. We have with us tonight JASL Policy and Advocacy Officer Patrick Layla, as well as domestic violence survivor Chantal Facey. Welcome again. All right, so earlier Dr. Andrews spoke of, what gender-based violence is. But can I call you Patrick or Mr. Layla? Which one of them?
Patrick is fine.
Patrick.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So Patrick, how is it distinct from the other forms of violence?
All right. Well, I wanted to broaden the definition of gender-based violence given by Dr. Andrews, just to say that gender-based violence speaks to any form of violence directed at someone because of their gender, gender identity, or sexual orientation. All of those. So the girl who gets beat up because she acts like a tomboy, as we say in Jamaica, that's gender-based violence because the manifestation of her gender is not as society expect. The boy who gets beat up because him saw him going like girl, that's gender-based violence because the manifestation of his gender and gender identity is what led to the violence. So just wanted to add that to it to broaden the definition. Now to the question. What was the question?
So how is
How is it
GBV
distinct from the other forms?
All right, so
of
it is
violence?
distinct from other forms of violence simply because of the gender component. So for example, if Mary and John lives together and they have an agreement that me cook Monday, Mary cook Tuesday, me cook Wednesday, Mary cook Thursday. So Thursday evening I come home and Mary didn't cook. And it end up into some form of physical abuse to say, Mary, but we have an arrangement. Me come home my evening and cook, and it's your evening this evening and you don't cook. That is domestic violence, but it is not gender-based violence. If John is now saying, Mary, you are the woman,
you have to cook
and
my
that is
food.
your role, to cook me food. So that's why me I beat you because you don't cook me food. Then it becomes gender-based violence. So it's the same scenario, but the gender component was not in the first, and that is what it is. We have other forms such as family violence, which may not necessarily be gender-based, intimate partner violence, but gender-based violence is a very broad umbrella, and you have all these other forms of violence that are not necessarily gender-based violence.
Thank you for clarifying that one.
Yeah, you mentioned intimate partner violence. Give a little detail on that one.
All right, so intimate partner violence is really violence that occurs between persons who are in or have been in intimate relationships. So intimate partner violence can also be a form of gender-based violence, but there may be the instances when it is not gender-based violence. But the difference there is that it happens between persons who are intimate or have been intimate. So it could be ex-partner, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, or present partner.
But the question that comes up now that somebody might want to ask, why are all these distinctions important? Why does it matter if intimate partner violence different from domestic violence, different from just violence in general?
Well, you see, generally, we denounce all forms of violence, and we don't want any of them to be perpetrated. But the reality is, for the purposes of addressing violence, it is important to know what forms of violence are more prevalent, because what we will do is tailor programs to respond to those forms of violence. So you don't want to be trying to fix an issue that is not the real issue. So the distinction is very critical in order to establish programs that can effectively respond to the violence.
Okay. Now, in what ways can traditional gender roles contribute to gender-based violence?
I think at the beginning, the one about cooking, right? That's one example. But also, traditional gender roles where you are a man, you are supposed to act this way, you're supposed to talk this way, you're supposed to behave this way, you're supposed to do these things. You're a woman, you're supposed to do these things. These are things that lead to gender-based violence because of these traditional beliefs that as once you are a particular gender, this is what you are a particular sex, as a matter of fact, is generally what it is reduced to. You are supposed to do this, you are supposed to not to do this, and whenever you step outside of that box, you find that gender-based violence is perpetrated. One of the exercises we do in teaching gender-based violence is that we put participants in a group and invite them to draw a box. And we say, put a girl in one box, draw two boxes, put a girl in one and put a boy in one. Inside the box, we want you to write all the traditional roles and things that a boy should do in the boy box and a girl should do in the girl box. Outside the box, we want you to write all the things that they shouldn't do. So most times you see, outside the boy box must be strong, must be a provider, must be a protector. Outside of the girl box must not have too many men, must not have more than one man. You don't say must not have more than one woman in the boy box. And then we use that activity to demonstrate to them. So you say all those things that you write outside the box, and when anybody do them, violence is meted out to them, that is what makes it gender-based violence, because the things in the box are what you expect of that gender, and when they don't do it, then violence is meted out to them.
Yeah. Chantal, bringing you into the conversation. First, I want to thank you for coming on the show. You know, not many persons would be open to having these kinds of conversations, especially as a survivor of gender-based violence.
Yes.
So, my question to you, I want you to let us know, you know, what has your experience been in terms of gender-based violence?
All right, so for me, I would say it was a rough one because I've been experiencing violence for about 5 years or more. Yeah, from my kid's dad. Like, it really started, like, you know when you want to control somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you want to me like, say, man pick me. So if I say I go somewhere, I can't go. Party I keep outside, I'm not supposed to go. In for outside, but me for lock up in the house. So, I don't know, like, one day I tell me, say, you can't come out, you can't go nowhere, I decide to I come out. Because you know my father, I have to listen to you. And it come like the wrong thing I go do. The man start lick me, him cuss. Because, what I say, me never know gender-based violence, my experience. Like, yeah, I take the lick, I cry, go back in my house. I say, all right, him say, I don't want to go out there, I not go. Go back again. Still I tell me, say, I can't go downtown by myself, I can't do nothing. Still do him something for do, and him continue abuse me until I just get up one day and say, I not take this no more. And
how long did it take you to get to that place?
Took a long time. Took like about... I was being abused when I was 18. I think it was when I was about 25 before. Yeah, because I never really have nobody to explain to me and say, a violence I go through, you're not supposed to lick you. You have people who sit down and them sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, Chantal I get beat, her man I beat her and she can't go nowhere. They make fun of it. So it's like coming to meetings at JASL, If Alive. That's no I know say, I'm not supposed to sit down and take no man lick.
Right.
And a gender-based violence actually I experienced. Took me a while to know that. And it's there and then the last time he licked me, I decide say, I call the police. He not even put him hand on me yet. Me in there and outside sit down with my friends and him come, go in now. So I sit down and I say, I get up. My friend say, go on in. I get up and go in. One man say, go in your sister room. I go in there, go sit down. Him come with the back of the door. He want to talk to me. So I decided so I not come out, I just call the police. And when the police talk to him that night, it still never make no sense. Come back the next night and it's the same thing. Him actually lick me the next night. Where I decided so I go to the station now, make a report. And it's there when I make the report now, I actually go to the family court. I explain to the judge, say, I can't deal with it no more because I almost lose my life 2 times. Just because of that. So I actually go to court, explain to them, get a restraining order against him. And it still took a while to move on. Because to me, I think say the next person I'm there with, I got abuse me again. So it was rough, but I overcome it.
Absolutely.
I did.
I heard you mention, JASL, coming to sessions with JASL and E for Life.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about those sessions and how they helped you to get past these experiences.
All right. Just like coming here tonight and talking about it, yeah, it kind of give me a relief. When I go to session with other girls and I can say, I was abused multiple times. I've been abused by my partner, so when I get to tell other persons that, not like say me I brag about it or anything,
Absolutely.
but me I make them know, say, you did I get abused and I overcome it, so you can.
Yeah.
So I would there home some of the time and we get a call and say a meeting, should come to a meeting and it's about gender-based violence, you go talk about the experience.
Yeah.
Yes. And I hear that I'm glad for come because back then I could sit down and talk about it. I could explain to nobody say, oh, I get lick on it, boy, do my this and him do my that. No. So when I can tell a young girl or somebody who experience violence now, can tell them my situation and tell them to run before it's too late.
Is it triggering to talk about it?
A bit.
Oh, okay.
Just a bit.
But how important is support for anybody going through that? Because you mentioned the fact that you can come to a space and speak about it. But for you, you say persons would turn to you in a sense, right?
Yes. I would say back then when it just started, I was young, but like his friends would be outside and you would hear them, Chantal, if you listen what the man say, and if you hear when the man talking or area and...
So this friend is telling you to listen, but none of them
Yeah.
calling him out.
Because all them come and say,
Yeah.
yo, bad man, I need for done. But at the end of the day, I want to say, man, I tell me, say, me need for listen. But you're not telling him same wrong for lick me or anything.
Yeah. So I realize you said that. So the men having a particular beliefs and they only speaking about one side, and I think that goes to a bit of culture. Yeah,
Yes.
in terms of Jamaica. So Patrick, my question to you, how do cultural norms in Jamaica shape the way GBV is understood or addressed?
All right, let me want to first say thanks to Chantal, and she's very strong to
Yeah.
be here to talk about it. One of the first signs of having dealt with gender-based violence is to be able to freely talk openly about it, and she's very strong to take the step to come forward and talk about that. And you never know who's out there who is hearing it. Now, Chantal said 2 things that are very critical. She said she saw control. That's how it started. It's like him want to start control me. That's what she said. And that is one of the traditional beliefs that as the man, you must be in charge.
Man run things.
And this in charge spills over into being even in charge of the other person who is in your space, who is a human being too and has some amount of autonomy. She also said, I noticed Calvin spoke to the men, but she also said her friends. The ladies outside say, go on in here, you must say if you come in, go on in. So there is this culture where not just men,
But women.
men tend to say, listen to the man and that won't happen to you today.
Yes.
But the women also tell you, comply. Him are the man. Him talk, so you should do what he does. And what this does is, this is perpetuating this cultural belief that men are in charge and they should take control of the situation. So all of these traditional beliefs that continue to fuel what we call toxic masculinity that the men should display this or that is what helps to fuel gender-based violence.
So we need to assess both the women and the men because we're perpetuating it. And the thing is, though, a lot of the times other women are experiencing the same thing as you, but them just shame for talk.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
and they
also
think it's
something to
okay, so they encourage you to remain in the situation.
Yes.
So that is critical. We have to. Chantal shared that there are people in the community say, "Oh, Chantal man a beat her and Chantal this and that." This business of for them business and it doesn't affect
It doesn't
me.
affect me.
Yes.
And
We
my business,
need to
yeah.
say something when we are in communities where we know that gender-based violence or any form of violence for that matter is being perpetrated.
And Chantal said something that stood out to me. She said that, going forward when you're trying to build a relationship or establish a relationship
Yes.
with anybody else, there's a lack of trust. There's that fear as well that somebody is going to do the same thing to you and
Yeah.
the cycle is going to be repeated.
Yes.
Now, how do you unlearn, or what is your process of trying to heal rather from that so you can move forward and possibly enter a healthy relationship?
Alright, so I would say when I left the previous relationship and started the next one, I actually set my rules. Yes. I try to do that. Like, my partner knows, say, listen to me. If I say to me, say, where you go, don't do this. I say, listen to me now. Don't tell me what to do. Because you're not my mother and my father. Because I know where I come from in a one already.
Yeah.
I'm like explain my situation to persons. So I make you know, say this used to happen to me, but now I make it happen again. So if you feel like say I go and control me, it's not going to work.
So speaking up for yourself,
Yes.
setting boundaries, make them understand. So listen,
Yeah.
now go play that game, yeah. You do it already, you now do it again.
Yes.
Yeah, as you spoke about speaking boundaries, you said something about, did you mention you mentioned going to the court, right?
Yes.
Did you mention restraining order, you said?
Yes.
Patrick, talk to us a little bit about what the law is. I think it's called a protection order in our law. Talk to us a little bit about how that works.
All right, so a protection order is provided for under the Domestic Violence Act, and it pretty much can be granted by a court to anyone who feels that they are, there's a threat of them being harmed or they have been previously harmed by a particular individual. Unfortunately, our legislation is not as advanced to deal with the psychological and the emotional. So really, there has to be either sign of physical abuse or threat of physical abuse for the order to be granted. So it's not that it has to happen. There can be threat of it, and you can get the protection order. It pretty much requires you just to go to the court. You don't need a lawyer. You pretty much just need to explain to one of the court officers what the situation is. A summons will be served, which requires the person to appear before the court. In extreme circumstances, you can get an interim order. That's like right away to say that this person is not to interfere with you in any way, but a date will be set for the person to appear before the court to defend the position in case anyone is acting with any malice in terms of saying someone did something that they didn't do. The court will grant the order. The order comes with certain parameters. It can restrict the perpetrator from residing in a particular area where you reside, from calling your phone, texting you, coming to your place of employ or school if you go to school. And depending on the situation, each order has their different parameters. And then the order also has an expiration date. It's not forever. The court will determine how long this should be, and for that period the person should not. If there is any breach of the order, then this is one of the areas in which JASL has done much advocacy. Not in the very far past, it used to be 10,000 Jamaican dollars as a fine for breach of that order. It is now $1 million.
Yes, Krista,
Sorry,
10
hold
grand.
on, wait.
Yes, it's
10,000.
now it's
10
1,000 Jamaican dollars, and we have done a lot of advocacy to the point where we have presented cases where men literally tear up the order, throw it away, and say, "Me can't pay the $10,000." So literally, our advocacy has led to it being increased to $1 million. So now it has been changed. That's why I'm
As of
getting at.
2024.
As
Right?
of 2024.
Yes, it has been
I can
changed.
smile.
So now people will feel it in the pocket if there is any breach of such orders. And the legislation provides for, if the order is breached, once you report, for example, if the order say must not be in the community of Jonestown, and you live in Jonestown. Once he's seen in Jonestown, he does not have to interfere with the complainant. That's a breach of the order, and the legislation allows the police to take him into custody immediately, him or her, I should say, and he will remain in custody until a hearing date is set for him to explain to the judge why the order was breached.
All right, I know that.
And there are, this is a good point at which to say, there are things that come along with the protection order. We have also occupation orders. That's important for people who are experiencing gender-based violence to know about. Sometimes you say, well, I feel house if me call the police. When me and the picnic them I go up on the street. The reality is the legislation also allows the court to issue alongside the protection order an occupation order, which pretty much says him have to come out of the house and leave you in there. Even when it belongs to him, the court gives you an order to occupy the premises for whatever period of time it is.
So we can just imagine, because he spoke about, possibly having children for somebody. How does gender-based violence impact children and families, even if they're not the direct victims?
All right, that is a very interesting fact that we sometimes forget. Children in homes see the abuse taking place.
They do.
They hear the conversations, they hear the fights, they hear the quarrels, and many times students, I'm saying students because I move over to school now, but the children act out in school. And people say, they pick the bad, they pick the misbehave. And nobody really gets in to understand what is happening. So the boy at school who believes that this girl raises her voice at her and him lick her, and you're wondering, why this little picnic would think say he must lick the girl? That's what happens when mom raises her voice at dad. Dad hits her. So when we see behaviors in children, we have to understand that children are products of their environment. We generally say children live what they learn. What they see, they will act out, and many times what we need to do is try to understand the cause behind what is being exhibited now. What we are seeing the child acting out are just symptoms of a greater issue. And if we don't get to the bottom of it, no amount of detention, scolding, or that is not going to happen. I was in a session last week where one of our psychologists was explaining that in a session with a survivor of gender-based violence, she had to spend a lot of time getting the woman to understand that you're an adult. You own yourself and you should, because she said the perpetrator sat her down and said that they have a son, Calvin. When Calvin misbehaved, don't you beat him? Yes. When he misbehaved and you beat him, me stop you? No. So when you misbehave, women must know. And believe me, guys, it sounds funny, but it's reality. Because what the psychologist was struggling with this lady is that she was there saying, but that's true. When Calvin misbehaved, me beat him too. So if I never misbehave, he would lick me. So she was also rationalizing the actions of her abuser. So we have to understand that it's not something that people just get over and move on. And when we sit at the sidelines and say them love the lick and all of that, there's much more happening.
Yeah. A lot of persons, they stay behind the keyboard and them like, no, but if she stays so long, she could have leave, she could have do this, she could have do that. they don't understand, you know, a lot of
The emotional.
the emotional aspect and financial aspect, and there's so much. Chantal, you said in your experience, you said this person was your father of your
Of
children.
my, yeah.
Yeah. So what was that like, knowing that, you know, that probably was one of the pushes in terms of the reasons that you were still there, because you know this is your children's father.
Yes, not only that, because he was the one working at the time. So, and I like say, I never want to leave.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get up and leave.
You're thinking about the children.
Yeah. I was thinking that when I leave, them I gonna need them father. I probably can't afford to feed them and stuff. But when I get to realize, so once me get to work, even when me and him left, him gone for him ways, he must see the kids them same way. I make sure he said, them will talk to him and stuff, but if you sit down in the relationship and take the abuse and know say him a provide and everything, it don't make sense. It might take a while to leave, but you can do it. Because I did. It take me a while, but I realize I get to work, I can provide for my kids, get somewhere to put them, and them happy and comfortable. Yeah, I realize once I leave the abusive relationship, everything okay. Yeah.
It is a little bit different when you are
Yes.
independent in certain ways and you have
Yeah,
money,
but
because unfortunately, that is why a lot of persons stay in those situations. They feel like they can't provide for themselves. This person is providing something.
yes.
May not be the security and the stability that
Because
they want and the safe space.
what most person think, if them leave, the man not gonna give them nothing, them not gonna eat, them can't provide. But you only have to tell yourself that, because I did that at once. Tell myself, say, I left, I can't go feed my people, them, I don't know what I'm gonna eat. But it's a lie. It's a lie. You can leave, get a job, take care of your kids and take care of yourself.
Did you at any point feel any kind of responsibility for, you know, the things that were happening to you?
No. No. Not once. Because
You know you never deserve it.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't deserve it, because I don't see what I do. You want to come in, you want to talk to me anyway, I'm not for my mouth. So, you know what I'm talk to, because you say aim, you know, if you say be a fire leak. I say I go down the road, you know I'm go down there, a fire leak. So, I'm not wrong for nothing.
Right.
I'm my own,
Absolutely.
yeah.
You were a big woman. Right.
Yes, I'm supposed to can go, I want to
We
go.
find that a lot of times in these situations, you know, the survivors of these kinds of violence, they start to blame themselves and feel responsible for what, you know, what they have experienced. Patrick, talk to us a little bit about how JASL provides support to survivors of gender-based violence.
All right, so it's very critical that Chantal spoke about the fact that the abuser was the breadwinner,
Yeah.
which is the reality for many persons in these situations, where the abuser is the breadwinner. There are children involved. If it was myself alone, may have to think about, maybe it would be easier.
Yeah.
But what about the child or the children? What is going to happen to them? And that is why economic empowerment and independence is a critical part of the programs that we here at JASL use to address gender-based violence. You find that a huge percentage of persons in these situations, they are unemployed. They are depending on their abuser. The abuser takes care of them and their children. So one of our programs involves providing educational opportunities for these survivors. We provide income-generating grants for them so that they can get this level of independence. Because when you find that a woman realizes that I don't have to depend on this abuser to take care of myself, to take care of my children, then you find that they will more likely get out of the situation. I will also add that it's important to know that we have legislation, the Maintenance Act, that people should be aware of. If you leave the relationship, the court can mandate the abuser to pay maintenance for the child. So stop thinking that if me leave and me one left with the picnic them, you can get a maintenance order from the court, which involves mandating them to pay maintenance for the child. And there are numerous arrangements the courts can make for that, where you will not have to come in contact with the abusers. It can be paid to the court office and you collect it there. There can be a neutral third party that the court can assign for the monies to be paid over to, and you will get it. So there are ways to deal with it.
Absolutely. We've seen how, for example, the JCF has instituted a domestic violence intervention center to deal with situations like this. We see more effort being pumped into this. Chantal, I want you to tell me, what was that experience like the first time? You said you reported it to the police. How did they take it? How did they react? Did they take your case seriously? Them tell if you go home, go sort it out, and go talk it out. What was that experience like?
I would say the first time when I went to the police station, I actually go down there for them and then come back for him. And when we were in the room I talk, one of the police actually tell us we need to go home and sort out things. It was like the last time when I go back, it was the last time the policeman that I saw him come there, and said to him, say, why you abuse her? It was a Mother's Day. Yes, a Mother's Day, and him say, you have a baby mother, big Mother's Day, you abuse a baby mother. You need to deal with things better, I'm going to lock you up. Which the other one I said to the policeman, said, them go and go sort out things. But that one policeman, him stand up there for like about half an hour, talk to both of us. And him say, man, encourage me, say, if it continue, come back to the station and get a restraining order at the court. And it did continue, and that's how I ended up back at the station and go to the court.
Krista look like the one there make a boil,
Listen, because for me, unfortunately, we know of instances where the police will talk to you and you go back home and not many women make it out after that.
Yes.
I feel like in terms of the urgency when it comes on to things like this, a lot of the times, way too many times, I know of it going the opposite. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I get the speaking to the person, but I feel like there needs to be other things implemented for say, listen, right so, right now maybe a separation has to happen, or before we even go to the court, we have to make sure say you don't come near her, you not touch her, and we're serious about this, because if you do this, and this is going to be the consequence.
Yeah.
How many persons have lost their lives? You get what I'm saying? Yes, so that not sit well with me. Was something though I remember a conversation I had with somebody a couple of years ago, and it was about spousal rape, and it was this whole thing of having a conversation with their family members, and they're saying that, listen, your husband, if you want to have sex with you, in the Bible it said, and they were using the Bible to push the narrative, and I'm like, but this is wrong. You're passing this down from one generation to the next. You get what I'm saying? Now, when it comes on to issues of this, how does age or generational differences affect the experience of reporting gender-based violence? And a lot of women, they don't even know. That's the thing, because your granny tell us that when your husband wants it, you forgive him. Your granny say, listen, when it's time for cook, you're not supposed to give the man a talk. You're supposed to just go in the kitchen. You understand what I'm saying? So how do we prevent this cyclical thing?
You said a lot. You talk about the, the older generation say, where your husband, when he want to give.
I'm not supposed to.
But I will have to also tell you that the law says, your husband
say, I forgive him.
So currently, still in 2024, we have a provision in law that is called marital rape, which says, while you can say the average person, the average male, raped you because you did not consent, if it is your husband, you cannot say he raped you simply because you did not consent. The law does not recognize that as rape simply because you don't consent.
Then look, never get married.
So the marital rape provision in the law, what it says is that for your husband to rape you, in addition to saying that he did not consent, you must prove something else. And there are 5 conditions outlined in the law that you must meet one of those conditions in addition to. So there must be the absence of consent plus something. While for the average man, once there is no consent, then rape is perpetrated. So the law sometimes subscribe to traditional beliefs, and a part of the change is for there to be a re-socialization of our people, for people to understand that this, as life progresses, as the world moves on, things change, and also there's a need for the law to catch up on that too. So JASL has been advocating for that change in legislation. We were successful in 2018 to get a recommendation that this foolishness about marital rape should be changed. But it still remains a recommendation. It has not been changed.
So in terms of what we'd want to see done more or done differently, whether by the police or legislatively, talk to us a little bit about what JASL would like to see and how IDIVA plays a role in promoting and advocating for those things.
All right, well, one of the things we'd like to see, which we are seeing, kudos to the police. I have to say there have been significant improvements in how they respond to gender-based violence with the coming about of the gender-based domestic violence unit, with the domestic violence intervention centers across the island, and with force orders being, which is an internal communication of the police, to say there are strict guidelines as to how they should respond to persons who come to report any form of violence. So that is one. So we want to see the police being more responsive. There's something that is called preventative detention or preventative arrest, where the police can arrest and detain someone for within the legitimate detention period, which is 48 hours now, in order to prevent something from happening. So it doesn't always need to be just come talk to and leave. There can be preventative detention.
Okay.
Legislatively, we want to see a more, I spoke about the $10,000 being changed to $1 million. We want to see more changes in the Domestic Violence Act. That piece of legislation has some critical elements that need to be amended in order to better respond to gender-based violence. We want to see the law catch up with the many other forms of, the many other ways in which gender-based violence may manifest. We talk about the emotional, the psychological, the financial. We want to see the law develop to respond to those instances. And that is why every year on November 25th, sometimes we are in our 10th staging of IDIVA now, and many times people say, well, we get up every year November 25th marching about the place. The reality is the law nor the traditions and the practices are not where we want them now. So we use this time, this day every year to remind. This is work we do right throughout the year. It's not just one day. But we use this day to make a loud cry out there to remind people that violence against women is still an issue. It's still an issue that we want people to be aware of. It's still an issue we want addressed in communities. And it's still an issue we want the law to be better prepared to deal with. So we want everyone to join us on Monday, November 25th, at the Police Officers Club at 1 o'clock. We gather there at 1. We march off at 2 from the Police Officers Club to the Halfway Tree Transport Center, where we will culminate the march. We'll have an outside broadcast, and we will have survivors to share with us and experts working in the field to share the developments in the response to violence against women.
Now, I'm listening to you, and I think that this is something that needs to be taught in schools, right?
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
What roles can schools play in preventing gender-based violence through education and awareness?
Well, if you heard Chantal earlier, she said, I never know that what was happening to me is violence.
Yeah.
So one of the things you will find is that people don't always identify violence as violence, and people don't always pick up red flags. So I think in education systems, people should be taught what is violence, what are their rights as a human being, what should and should not happen to them, what are some of the signs because it doesn't always, nobody meets a man or woman who just lick them down the first day, and that's it. It always, you always meet these, and perpetrators of violence are known to be very charming, perfect person, the perfect partner, who then just changes on you and you're wondering what happened.
Who is
So
this person?
people should be taught, children should be taught in school, what are the red flags, what are some of the signs you should be looking for that says don't go there.
And as you mentioned, children, there's a question on TikTok. What happens when the assault, I think they probably mean the GBV, is between two minors?
All right, so when the assault is between two minors and there is a long legal definition of minors from 0 to 17 years of age is considered a minor. The age of criminal responsibility is 12 years old. So I will say from 0 to 12 or 0 to 11 year and 9 and how much months
11
did I
months.
hear? 11 months.
Right?
There is no possibility for criminal liability there. Not that nothing can be done. A child could be put in state care, could be removed out of the setting, all of that possible. Between 12 and 17 now, there is the possibility for criminal liability. So when the violence is between minors, the form that it takes, the level of injuries, if any, sustained, all of that can be dealt with under, say, the Offences Against a Persons Act, which deals with those kinds of offences from an assault to murder.
Okay. Chantal, my last question for you. Having had this experience, having, you said, been with sessions at JASL and E for Life, and for those who don't know, E for Life is an organization that they deal specifically with women and girls. Yes. So having had those experiences of going through those sessions and now being empowered, what is the advice or the message you would give to a woman out there watching who has a similar experience like yours?
All right, so my message would be,
It's fine.
I would say, I know it's hard, but you can leave the relationship even if the person you're with is the breadwinner of the family. You can take your time and leave. Don't stay in an abusive relationship. It can cost you your life.
Profound words. Don't stay.
Don't stay. No.
Don't stay. It could cost you your life.
It almost cost me mine, so I'm advising you. Once the abuse starts and you can leave, please leave.
Yep.
Absolutely. Patrick, final words?
Well, I can always tell you to call Jamaica Aid Support for Life, but I don't think I could say it as good as someone who has experienced it. She said leave. So leave. I want to say support is very critical, and that is one of the things that people, prevent people from leaving. So reach out to organizations that can provide the necessary support, because you will find that you will need that to get out of such situations.
And contact information for JASL?
925-0021 to 2, and we are also on all social media platforms. If you type in Jamaica Aid Support, you'll find us anywhere. Send us a direct message, give us a call, and we will have someone reach out to you. We have all the services you need here, including if you have to go to court, we have the legal services for you too, at no cost.
All right, so JASL is not just talking about gender-based violence, but the support services are in place to ensure that you have all that you need to get out of those circumstances and be empowered to move on with your life. Thank you so much, Chantal, for sharing with us tonight, being brave, sharing your story, and letting other women know that this is not the end. Once you leave, there's more, and there are services and there are places that will help
that will give you support also.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us tonight on Just After Dark. Patrick, thank you for giving us the technical insight.
Thank you for having me. I haven't been on this set in a while.
Yes, welcome to the new Just After Dark. All right, so reminder, Monday, November 25, IDIVA, International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and JASL, Jamaica Aid Support for Life, will be having our silent protest and our march starting at 2 p.m. We meet at the Police Officers Club at 1 p.m. and we march off at 2 and head to the Halfway Tree Transport Center. So you can join us, lend your voice, join the call to end or eliminate, same thing, yeah? End violence against women. So join us on Monday, November 25.
And please remind them, Calvin, wear something purple. If you come to Police Officers Club early, you may be able to get a purple shirt, but if not, wear something purple.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll be back with you next week, Wednesday, the same time, same place, where what we can't talk during the day, we discuss after dark. Bye.
Can't talk in the night part. Jostle, jostle, jostle after dark. Jostle, jostle, jostle after dark. Jostle, jostle, jostle after dark. What can't talk in the night part. Jostle, jostle, jostle after dark. Jostle, jostle, jostle after dark. Jostle, jostle, jostle after dark. What can't talk in the night part.